Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook along with Tom Fitzenmeyer with Summit Commodity Brokerage, and some mixed trade today in both grain and livestock futures. We have the hogs mostly lower except for wheat. Everything else pretty much to the plus side. And Tom, over in the grain, soybeans still leading the charge here. We're putting in some late season weather premium, it looks like.
Absolutely, we are. I mean, everybody's expecting that at some point we're going to get some relief from this heat and dry weather, and we just are not. And so the corn crop is probably close enough to maturity that it's not hurting it a lot. But the soybeans certainly, it's amazing how much you can get a yield boost from those the last clusters that get put on the top of the plant at the end of the season, and I don't think that's happening. Number one, number two, there's a lot of hints that maybe the number of seeds per pod is down some. Certainly, seed size is going to be reflected by this hot, dry weather. I think the trade was a little bit surprised maybe to see the pro farmer yield under 50. That was kind of a critical level. So once you slip under that, that tightens things up a little bit on the soybean side. Corn at 172 is probably about right. I mean, maybe it's 173 and maybe it's 170, but it looks like the corn yield is going to be good enough to at least keep us around that 2 billion bushel carryout level. It'll be interesting to see what the crop condition rating says this afternoon, so we can really see, maybe quantify a little bit how much deterioration there was in both those crops last week.
Yeah, I was going to say, after the excessive heat that we had last week, obviously that was part of the reason I think the Pro Farmer Crop Tour did lower yields for both corn and soybeans. And so we're expecting a pretty good drop here, wouldn't you think, this afternoon?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, just speaking personally, last year my soybean crop in central Iowa looked amazing at the end of July, and by the end of August we just got no rain, and it was a complete bust. So that August weather and how crucial it is just can't be overstated, and it hasn't been good for at least the last week or two.
Yeah. We also got some export business this morning, both on the corn and soybean front again. So that certainly is helpful.
Yeah, it is helpful. You know, China's been kind of snooping around finally for some new crop soybeans again. Again, the demand for the corn seems to be picking up, although we still have a lot of competition from Brazil and that record crop they had. But yeah, it's good to see people snooping around a little bit. You know, the other thing they're starting to talk about a little bit is it's still dry in Argentina, and they're sort of getting to the point where they're thinking about planting. And so that may eventually, over the next month or so, be an issue if it stays dry as they go into their planting season.
Well, it's been interesting to watch this late season rally here, especially in the soybeans, and we're above the $14 mark here this morning in the November. If we close above that level, Tom, then where's the next level we project to, or how far do you think we'll run?
Then I think we've got a pretty good shot at that 1440 to 1450 area. I mean, this soybean situation just keeps getting tighter by the week. And then you start adding in a little foreign demand, and I don't know how the soybeans all of a sudden get pretty interesting. Corn, not so much with the carryout we've got now. We've got pretty good, excellent meal demand, export demand, because of the crop problems they had in Argentina last year. But I expect that to continue, especially if they get a little nervous about the South American crop. Bean oil's got a good story with the renewable diesel demand that's probably going to be shaping up here at the end of the year. So, the whole soy complex looks pretty decent to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. What about corn? Can we get corn above $5 here? It's trying to follow soybeans, but the wheat market keeps holding it back.
Yeah, wheat's a drag. I think if you're probably going to see some follow through on corn, and I don't think it'd be out of the question to pull corn up in that 515 to 520 range, especially if you could get a good solid close above $5. But that's going to be a bit of a chore here, because 5 has really been a tough number to get through, and especially if you've got a 2 billion bushel carry out, or roughly that. It's the funds have a substantial short position, not near record, but a good sized short position, and it looks like they're prepared to defend that and use any rallies to maybe increase that short position. So that's kind of what you're fighting a little bit in the corn side.
Yeah. Plus, over in the wheat, let's talk about we've not only had technical selling, but certainly there's a lot of grain that's been moving still out of the Black Sea region. Last week, Russia increased, or Sovietcon increased the Russian crop. So we're going to have more competition going forward, it looks like.
Yeah, and there's some talk over the weekend that the Russians were back negotiating a little bit on that. So I think
Yeah.
that's we're down today. Uh, Whether they're negotiating or not negotiating seems to kind of jerk the wheat market around pretty good here. There's really ultimately probably plenty of wheat around in the world. Certainly this hot, dry weather that the central corn belt scene has not affected wheat quite as much. So that hasn't pulled wheat up like it has corn and beans either.
Yeah. There was talk already Friday, Tom, about Turkey talking to Russia about coming back into the Black Sea Grain Initiative. But, do you think that's just lip service at this point? Does Russia have anything to gain by that?
I don't think they do. I don't think you're going to see that happen. I mean, it's nice to talk about, and I hope it does, and all that. But I just don't see that negotiation going anywhere.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move over to the cattle market. We had some steady cash in the south last week, a little bit lower in the north. The market seemed to handle it pretty well on Friday. And, we had a higher weekly close. We're down a little bit in the nearby live cattle this morning. But do you think we have more correction ahead, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think there's a little more correction. The December contract this morning is about 184.80. I think you could see a pullback of a couple bucks on that. The numbers are kind of interesting. We were up a fairly good amount in terms of slaughter versus a week ago, the previous week, last week, but we're still down 7.7%, I think, from a year ago, last week. So the numbers are still continue to shrink. Demand continues to be pretty good. Beef demand holds up quite well. So, yeah, we could have a dollar or two correction, but I still think the bigger picture still looks quite good in the beef side.
Yeah, choice boxes at almost 318 right now. So that's really speaks to your point about how demand has been good. And we're going to get into some of these tighter supplies here going forward. We just kind of have to get through this end of summer slump then.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I suppose most of the buying's been done for the Labor Day weekend, so
Sure.
we'll have to see how demand shapes up once that's sort of behind us here.
Yeah. Hogs look like they put in a seasonal top. How much downside do you see in that
I
market?
guess I'm expecting to see the December contract not down that much. We're at 71.30. I think you could see it back at 70, maybe a little under, and then I think you'll find fairly good support. Pork is still, and poultry both are pretty good values at the grocery store, and I think the demand for those is going to hold up quite well, particularly versus the beef prices.
Yeah, cutouts were down on Friday, but I think that was because the bellies were down hard, and it looks like we're kind of getting past that BLT season, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, that's true because I like eating them, but yeah, that does tend to slow up here as you run out of tomatoes, I guess.
I guess. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. As always, Tom Fitzmyer, Summit Commodity Brokerage. That's Markets Now.